Yeah, I saw that guy get killed. No, it was just symbolic. You're not invincible. We can actually get here. It wouldn't have been nice, trust me. It would not have been nice.
Hey, every other time with Eric, episode 5. What a pleasure. Khalif Kairo's back. This time we have the story in the bag. This time we're just going to talk about everything that's going on. Man, so much has happened since you were last here, Bana.
Yeah.
The country is literally a different place, man. On top of that, I've seen you made many strides in your different endeavors, specifically aviation. That's what I follow keenly.
Yeah.
So I just want to, let's start about the country, Bana.
Yes.
So much has happened, man.
Yeah, it's been white.
As we record today, yesterday, the president just fired the whole cabinet.
Yeah.
And unless you live on Mars, you've been seeing what's happening with the Gen Z, which has morphed into more than just Gen Z. It's like a movement that Kenyans want just better governance all around.
Yeah.
But the Gen Zs were the conduit because Gen Zs are brave, you know. So I remember, was it on 25th?
Yeah.
I'm driving home from work.
Yeah.
Around 2 p.m. I get home. I'm seeing a lot of groundswell. Then I get home and I jump on social media and I'm just seeing activity tower. Of course, I checked you out. You're there. So what was that like, man? I want to chronologize it from the point where you were literally at the forefront. Yeah, like forefront in terms of the street.
Yes.
Forefront in terms of the first big space. To me, the space that had the most impact. I feel like the subsequent ones were a bit watered down.
Yeah.
That main space for that. Yes, that was a very... That's a moment in history.
Yeah.
To the point where now people are switching gears to try and say that you've sold out, you know, all these narratives.
Yes.
So what's been that journey for you in terms of this movement to the point where now it would seem, I stand corrected, that you're going about your day now. You feel like, it seems like you're going about business now.
Yeah, because, the reason we went to the streets, I keep saying that we didn't go to the streets because we were paid by anybody. Me personally went to the streets because I felt that, the country was moving in the very wrong direction. And I felt, even as a Christian, it gets to a point where if God gives you a bit of influence, you have to use your influence and your strong voice to call out some things that were happening in society. Because what we had was a cabinet that was very arrogant and basically even MPs that are compromised and a government that seems out of touch, with most people. And for me, it was honestly a higher calling. And that's why you saw me at the forefront. I knew I could die any moment, but I had made peace with it.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, if they shoot me, it's okay.
I think that kind of bravery for me is that it's a generational difference.
Yes.
I'm maybe 6 years older than you.
Yeah.
I can imagine that, but I'm not yet there where I'm willing to die, So where does that fearlessness come from? What's the root of that?
Because I feel we are children a better country. I grew up watching my mom struggle. I myself have struggled to get to where I am. By the way, not for the grace of God, I don't think I'll be here. There are systems where people, you can just exist and just live a straightforward life and things will work out for you because the whole system works. In Kenya, you have to do extra, which is not right because this is a very rich country. So it gets to a point where we decide if it means that for this country to be liberated and to move in the right direction, some of us have to die, then it's a sacrifice we're willing to take. And it's got nothing to do with getting paid or any incentive of any kind.
And just to tear my generation a bit.
Yes.
Because we stood with Gen Zs, we're millennials. We took a back seat, but we were with you guys, right?
Yes.
Remember, us guys have a memory of Moi.
Yes.
A very strong memory.
Yes.
I'll give an example. When I was a child going for movies, the cinema, we were subjected to the Nyayo reel. As a kid, you don't realize that's forced propaganda.
Yeah.
You have to watch what Moi commissioned. He did this for 30 minutes before the movie you want to watch. You have to watch that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had stories from our parents, the coup. So it's not that we're just cowards. There's like a memory that we have.
It's how I actually saw Moi. Me, I'm part of that Gen Z club that is literally at the border because Gen Z starts at 95. Starts in 95, 96. So I have a lot of millennial influence in my life and a lot of Gen Z influence. So I understand. Because lipata Moi. Only that by the time I was becoming conscious, Moi was in his last year. So I know. And I hear my mom saying, about the coup, how things were bad. So we would understand. But you see now some of us, Mimi joined class 1 with Moi. The day the Moi Kibaki took power in January, I think, 2003.
Oh yeah,
2003.
Yes.
Because I remember when Moi lost Uhuru Kenyatta lost the election in 2002. I remember listening to the radio, and the results were streaming in on KBC, and we were listening with my mom. Still remember that year.
She must have been elated.
Yes. Everybody was so happy. So I come from that generation that grew up with Kibaki, so we know what good governance is.
Hope.
So we've never been hopeless at any point. We've always been constantly under. But now, what we were seeing with this regime was a cabal of people who wanted to take the country back to the Moi days. That's what I think.
And almost with an impunity,
that we've never seen, honestly. Yes, like and honestly, now it gets to a point where we have to assert and say, look, no, we'll go to the streets.
So what was the origin, in your estimation, of...
No. What triggered this whole thing was the finance bill.
Yeah.
And what even triggered it more, I personally sell cars. I drive a car that's worth around, let's say, 6 million. I pay insurance around 150,000. That's around 3.5%, give or take. 200,000 thereabout. 150, 200,000. So you come and that insurance, I don't pay it cash. I have to take another loan to pay that insurance. So nakatangwa every month. Because I'm in business, I'm running other things. Then you have someone like this MP for Molo comes and tries to justify that the government wants to add another tax that is almost equal, if not equal, to whatever I'm paying in insurance. And now this is government tax. So meaning there's no option for me to even finance it. I have to pay.
These guys,
pocket.
It seemed like they were letting, quote unquote, their nuts hang. Like at some point,
yes,
it was like you guys literally... And from the subsequent, the idea of trying to bring Baba on board to placate the youth, I was like, how uninformed. I've never realized how much out of touch these guys were.
No, these guys are out of touch. Because I think what happens is when I think they get to a point, make a lot of money in government, you cut in all these tenders, left, right, center. So you're stealing.
So you forget.
Yes, and it's not like we're stupid. We know people are stealing in government. This is not something that we are guessing. It's something that's happening. People in government are stealing our money. How do you know people in government are stealing? Go to Kenyatta right now. I keep giving the example of Kenyatta because I once gave a story. I rescued a chick who'd been hit by a vehicle and they offered to take her to hospital. I waited 3 hours for that chick to get attended to, and there was only one doctor. And there were like 10, 20 other people at Mbagathi walikuwa mekapo. Yet the government says they are allocating 10 billion, 20 billion to health. Where is all this money going? Kama tuyoni kwa hosi.
It's true.
So and then you have these people who now want to add taxes. And over and above that, the way they are talking to us, the way they're trying to pass across these points, or they want to over taxes, the arrogance.
By the time you give out 20 million in public,
yes.
Do you know Elon Musk with his $200 billion will not just give you 20 million.
No. And they won't even come with it in cash.
That's a mindset of someone who's not earned that money. Yeah. But now, the before we get to the space, I want to talk about that specific day. It was 25th.
Yeah. The Tuesday.
What was Tao like? What was the real ground? Someone asked me at Jobo. I don't know if guys would call me a sellout, but I was at work.
Me by then I went out that day. The objective was to get to Parliament. In fact, that was the objective for me. There was no other way around it. Not to destroy anything or I was due kill anybody. No, we just had to get to Parliament.
And for me, and I think for the larger Kenyan society, that breach was the tipping point of this whole thing.
Yes,
that was where the change has happened forever. So what was that like?
No, we started off from now a tactical, let me just call it a tactical nini. You see that Nyayo House area? There were some cops pale Nyayo House, there were other cops pale Pronto outside the Supreme Court. So we just started having, it now became like a game. So they throw tear gas, we throw it back at them. Throw tear gas, but constantly as that was happening, they were getting pushed back.
Yeah. And that's by the sheer numbers.
Yes, by the sheer numbers. Then it got to a point, they ran out of water.
And how's that? I saw you talk about how that water was back at urethra needing.
Bro, that water stings you. Like it burns you literally.
Yeah.
All you just want to do is have water on yourself. You have to pour it on yourself to cool it because it really, really burns you. I even had to buy new AirPods because the ones that I had on that day were damaged and they retain that pink color. Even the clothes that I wore on that day are still pink. It doesn't go. It
Have you
doesn't
kept
go.
them like a souvenir?
They're in the house, yeah. So like, yeah, we just ended up pushing these guys back all the way across past City Hall. Then they go to Parliament. So when we go to Parliament, the other guys from Uhuru Highway also pushed them back. So now we had two large masses of people converging at the same point. So there's those guys who are on mbele ya Supreme Court tumefika hapo mbele ya Parliament. There are the other guys from the other guys from Kenyatta Avenue. They've also made it there. And there's another group of people on Uhuru Highway.
Do you think the law enforcement still had some doubt?
No.
They weren't there.
Now, let me tell you, you got to a point now they got scared. Because now what happens when we get to in front of Parliament, they abandon a truck. So it gets banned.
That's how you know they've been outnumbered.
Yes. So they abandon the GSU truck, it gets banned. So as we are in front of Parliament, that's when the guy who got shot in the head, because we were like literally in the same group, he gets shot.
You saw that?
Yeah, I saw that guy get killed.
It was a cold summer night. You were watching Every Other Time with Eric. At some point you realized you haven't subscribed. Subscribe now to get more content. This summer, coming to theaters near you.
Oh, hey. Oh my God.
so that guy, I mean, it's crazy. So that guy gets shot.
Where was that sniper?
You see it right in front of Parliament. That bullet came from the main entrance of Parliament. And I'm not sure if it was a bullet or it was a tear gas canister. But one of those two, because his head was blown off completely and the brains were literally on the road.
It looked like a bullet because
Yes.
and they always say apparently the philosophy around dispersing protesters, if it gets heavy, go for the quote-unquote perceived leader.
Yes.
Someone who looks like they are controlling.
Yes.
That's meant to now disperse the rest.
So they shot the guy. It made us angrier.
Guys got more emboldened.
Trust me, now he got mad. At that point, I was like, probably I'm going to get shot. Now you are like, you know what, it's fine.
And you had reconciled.
Yes. Then I'm like, no, you know what, I might get killed. So as we are still engaged in this, because now they've shot the guy, so now people start picking rocks, and now people start throwing rocks at them. So there's nothing we can do for that guy. There's nothing that can be done for that guy. So as we are still busy with these guys in the main gate, I look to my right, now coming from the Uhuru Highway direction. Guys are already bringing down the wall to Parliament.
Yeah, that's when things now got hot.
So I'm like, oh God, everybody now rushes into Parliament. So we leave that section. The guy is still there lying on the ground. So we go into Parliament.
You entered?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So we guys go past the mausoleum, that Jomo mausoleum.
Yes.
People go past it right into Parliament. And then now there was another unit in Parliament, a very elite unit. I probably suspect could be ATPU. I don't know, not ATPU. This is Reke. Reke. So now they come out and then they start firing. So they're firing, the guys just go.
Wait, they're firing live bullets at a
We
crowd?
could hear like bullets. Those guys, credit needs to go to them, because if they'd have wanted to kill a lot of people, they would have. So they didn't fire directly into the crowd. They mostly fired up.
Or to try and disperse?
To try and disperse. Yeah.
And I always say, because what came out later was that there's a tunnel from Parliament to the Bunge House.
Yes, to the Bunge House.
If that tunnel did not exist, what would have
No, it
happened?
would have been crazy.
What would have happened?
No, trust me, it would have been crazy, because a lot of people were angry.
MPs would have been probably.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been nice. Trust me, it would not have been nice.
Now, in the because, like I said, that felt like the tipping point. Whether you are watching it on news, whether you are there live, whether you're an older generation who's just hearing passive information like our folks, that was literally the tipping point.
Yes.
Now, when you guys, I think it was through Bonnie, he said code red.
Yes.
Now it's time to retreat.
Yes.
They're planning to kill guys.
Yes.
And guys retreat.
Yes.
And of course, now the narrative, the next thing is occupy State House.
Yes.
And me won't lie, man.
Yeah.
Everyone on the periphery is like, yes, you guys can't wait for them to occupy State House. Like, yes. like, but quietly some guys don't want to show, because of selfish interests.
I know, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Because what happened after we went to Parliament, one thing that broke my heart is we made it to Parliament. Up until that point, take note, no protester has attacked any cop. I want you to note that in the midst of all these protests, there was a police lorry parked on Moi Avenue in the middle of protesters. Not one of those cops was assaulted.
So it was not this is pro-Kenya.
Yeah. Hatuna issue. The enemy were the MPs. I want you to get that up.
Yeah.
The enemy were the MPs. Us going into parliament was not about to ghost G overthrow the government. or do what.
Symbolic.
No, it was just symbolic.
Yeah.
You're not invincible. We can actually get here.
I hear guys collapsed out of
Yes,
fear. People are-
precisely. So the whole point was, we will come to parliament not because we want to kill you. We just want to show you. Let's have a one-on-one. Tumekuja hapa hata sisi.
The sovereign.
Yes, because now we've come. So now we've left our nice cars home. We've left everything. Now we are here with you, one-on-one.
Let's see if you have.
Yes.
Now, so
You've been calling us all these names on social media, showing us how arrogant you are. Sasa tumekuja kwenu. Now tell us what you are telling us.
now the subsequent thing was the space happened after that.
Yeah.
There was another space that happened,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Then the next thing was meant to be Occupy State House.
Yeah.
That was like what was meant to happen.
Yeah.
And then, of course, now even people start thinking, hey, but now if they Occupy State House, what actually happens?
Now, where now people say like I got bought is when I told guys, don't go to State House.
Before we get there, and the reason I want to also just paint a picture of, remember, we have a historical, there's some things that are historical.
Mm-hmm.
So powers that be, if you cannot squash them by way of, gone are the days of torture chambers.
Yeah.
Of course, guys were still kidnapped.
Yeah.
But a guy like you with such a following,
Yes.
if you went missing, bro, there can be an uproar.
Yes.
So Ruto, who's known to dish out money, that's not a secret.
Yes.
So for people to imagine that perhaps some of these guys were approached and given chums,
Yes.
it's not far-fetched. It's actually a fair
Yeah, no,
assumption.
it's true. Yeah.
But me, I was thinking about it from the Pablo Escobar type of way where it's lead or silver, where shika this or
we kill you.
shika this.
Yeah.
And so that's where the narrative came from. It was not just malice.
Yeah.
I know you have some detractors, but I don't think entirely it was just malice.
No, Apana, it was actually, I wouldn't blame people for thinking about it that way. But I always tell people that despite everything, you still need to remain focused, and you need to understand what you're doing. You need to know, like, look, the fact that we are opposing this regime and the fact that we have a problem with their policies does not mean that we also usurp a government that was elected democratically. You understand?
Because what next? What happens? That vacuum.
Next, yeah, that's the problem. Countries don't collapse because, mostly because people had a lot of issues. Issues don't make up. Okay, countries can still collapse, but countries go into civil war because power vacuums arise. And there are a lot of people in this country who started taking the Gen Z movement and infiltrating it. As I told you, we made it to parliament. When Boni gives the instruction that we need to pull back, take a motorbike. And we can't use Uhuru Highway because there's a whole battle raging, roads are blocked, everything. So you have to skirt through Westi, uko nyuma na moto.
You had your bike, I remember.
No. Now take Nduthi. I didn't go with my bike.
Okay.
Do you know I ran into a guy? Do you know as we were driving through downtown, I saw people loot. And I was like, see Gen Z.
So, and those people were just naturally taking advantage, or it was like a funded?
So you see, these people could be funded to cause more destabilization. So you see, being a patriot means that you need to also be wise. You need to see the side that most people don't want to see. Everybody wants to go to State House, but you're trying to tell them, look, when we were in Parliament on Tuesday, there are other bad things that happened that were not part of the movement. So there are people who will use that instability to settle political scores and to take advantage, to undermine the government.
And to show force, because there are different theories I had. I would imagine that who stands to gain most from that vacuum?
Yes.
You just have to go down that thought process.
Yes. But see, Poa, you see, at the end of the day, we need to know where to push and to what level.
So whose hand would you say we're trying to usurp?
No, okay, it's very hard to know who exactly was trying to use the situation to usurp the government. But I'd say when Ruto does, the president does a presser in State House, and the vice president does another presser in Mombasa, that was the point I realized, hey, something's very wrong.
And I feel like, again, it's a theory. So my own theory, my own view.
Yeah.
I feel like the vice president went on record. You know that you can go and say, hey, but me, I even called them my children.
Yeah.
I even said, don't go. I feel like it was a dog whistle actually saying, you guys go. Like, but on record, I've told you guys not to go to State House.
Yes.
But behind the scenes, I feel like he stood to benefit
Yeah.
from if there was that vacuum, because
Because
Constitution-
because you see, it's actually quite obvious.
Yeah.
There's been what I'd call, I think, a power struggle between factions within government. And what I will still stand for is the country still needs to remain stable. People will say Ruto must go, which is fine. But at the end of the day, you also need to ask yourself a very honest question. Let's assume tomorrow he resigns. What next?
What next? Yes. And we have examples. Look at Sudan.
Thank you.
Where it became a pariah state just because of a vacuum.
Yes.
And sometimes people also take the military lightly. The
Yes.
military can take over and say,
Thank
hakuna internet,
Yes.
and there's nothing you'll do.
Thank you.
So I think that when by the time you are giving your message, fun enough, I
Yeah.
told my wife the same.
Yes.
My wife is a Gen Z. She's born 96.
Yeah.
So she's an advocate. So for her part of the movement was going to tear guys in
Yeah.
cell, guys
Yeah.
who've been held unjustly.
Yeah.
Of course, there was a duality in our house. I'm like, hey, stay safe,
Yeah, yeah.
But her, she was resolute about that.
Yes.
But I remember telling her that we have examples of countries where
Yes.
that vacuum was taken over by especially the military.
Vacuums are not good.
It can be terrible.
Yes, if everybody is watching, needs to understand that vacuums are not good in any country. It's actually much easier. A country can see much change. You see, like if you have the president, if you still have the president in power, and now like right now the way people have put so much pressure on him, it actually becomes easy for things to work when he's still in power and you're able to tell him what you people want and he's able to act, as opposed to a situation where you kick him out of power, then you have 3 more factions struggling for power. That's how a country is going to civil war. So you'd rather have him there, sawa, but ona kama vijana he kicked out the cabinet.
Yeah.
Now we are having a conversation.
And do you think, will the movement ever be happy? Because
No, it's very
it can reach a point where every move is over scrutinized.
No, to be very honest, it's very logically speaking now. It's very you cannot appease a mob. It's very you cannot make everybody happy. But there are actions you can take that will make the majority happy and it won't get down. Like let me give you a very good example. We were not happy with Ruto's regime all along. Truth be told.
People were quietly disgruntled.
We were quietly disgruntled.
Would you
I
say-
personally have made, even before the movement, I've personally have made videos calling out Murkomen, specifically for NTSA. Because I'm a car dealer. We've been in a state where the most solid vehicle transfer website had issues for a very long time. And we were losing a lot of money as car dealers. And I made videos to call him out. So you can already see there was a bit of disgruntlement. What tipped everything was the finance bill. Because the finance bill, now everybody got angry at once. And we're telling the guys, don't take this bill to parliament. You see, all he could have done was withdraw the bill.
And what is this about the MPs that has them so... It can't just be money.
It's just,
Is it blackmail? You know, if you go to countries like Russia, what Putin has done with the oligarchs, he has so much dirt on all of them. And the dirt transcends just dirty deals. This guy has sex tapes. He has all manner of blackmail.
Yeah.
So me, I was wondering, for MPs to nyenyekea on that level, what kind of fear is this? Where does that fear stem from? Is it
Okay,
guys-
yeah, of course, a lot of those guys are shady. Most of look at these MPs. Most of them are shady people. Because even us as a country, we have a problem. We elect people based on who checks out the most money in a campaign. Now who has got like 50-20 mic to go dishing out on a campaign?
Imagine.
Mostly si ni mtu mwenye tu ni mkora.
But didn't a lot of us fall for the narrative that Ruto was a God guy? And
That's
another
the problem.
an interesting thing with Kenyans,
Yeah.
and I speak for many Kenyans,
Yes.
when I say that a lot of Kenyans are Sunday Christians.
Yes.
So Sunday, church,
Yeah.
Monday to Friday, Saturday, you're doing your own thing. Sunday, church.
Yeah.
So that identification of, we know this guy is a thug. There's so much dirt on his jacket.
Yes.
But he's here preaching God.
Yeah.
People forgave it. We're like, he's just a guy.
No, it's called I think he told us what we wanted to hear. I cannot sit here and tell people that the other regime was also good. It wasn't.
But these guys have made them look like, and
These guys have
they
made
were
them
so
look like-
bad.
Because now, much as the other regime wasn't perfect, now these guys have gone to levels of corruption and levels of arrogance we've never seen before. Yani impunity ingine, like bad levels. Every day unaamka unasikia tu kesi fulani ya corruption imekuwa withdrawn. Unaamka tena unasikia sijui nani. We have active murderers sitting in cabinet. We have an MP who's selling our parents fake fertilizer, Linturi. This guy was selling fake fertilizer and he was sanitized by the system. So you see, we elected him on the mandate. Nakumbuka si nguvu ni maombi. It resonated with us as Christians. And he was the underdog.
Underdog, yeah, it's a good sell.
Because the other regime had decided it was going to be Baba. And they gave him access to everything. But the fact that I've even said it, like, the way Ruto bait that whole system made me admire him. I can't say all of those words. Because I was like, if he can beat this system against all odds, if we gave him government, then he'll probably do a very good job. Because he's shown that he's very strong and he's very bold. Now he's very firm. And he's smart. If he's able to beat all these guys. Then now you go there, now you become worse than them. So you can imagine now the sort of, some of these things for us, zingine hata ni spiritual. Me personally feel Gen Z is doing God's work.
I had someone say that yesterday, and I absolutely resonate, because it's also going to end up being a movement that will be studied and replicated around the world.
Yes. You
can hear our neighbors already disgruntled and saying we need to do what Kenya is doing.
Yes.
But now, what about you're a person of notoriety?
Yes.
Meaning you're famous.
Yes.
Maybe some would say even infamous.
Yes.
And people look up to you.
Yes.
Governments might feel threatened by the power you wield, by the way, for example, for the movement, you are literally telling. I'm sure so many people shaped their opinions based on what you said.
Yes.
Now, if it's not necessarily money or a bribe,
yes.
What about threats? Was that something that happened?
No. To be very honest, I can't sit here and lie or pretend I was kidnapped. Nobody has ever kidnapped me.
Threats, anything?
And nobody has ever threatened me. Nobody has ever followed me.
In your quiet times at home, did you feel fearful?
Nobody has ever come and knocked in my door. Nobody.
Do you think that was fear that you would come out saying, "Say on show"?
I don't know. Mimi nasemanga tu ni protection ya Mungu. Because me do like honestly, do you know hata nikiwa tao a rock literally passed TV. Missed my head by a couple of like centimeters. Nikitoka tao after we left parliament. Yeah, so some of these things are godly. Because you're doing God's work.
Yeah.
So it's God who protects. You know me, I tell guys, even like I remember there's a video I made and I was very young and I told them, look, me, I'm not scared. Even when I was on the space that had over 100,000 people, I remember telling them that, look, I live in Valley Arcade. This is the registration of my car. I don't put any tint. If you feel like you want to come and kill me, please do. Because I'm not getting paid by anybody.
Do you know, it's that kind of message that actually shakes governments.
Yes.
When someone is not scared to die, it's the same thing with the suicide terrorists.
Yes.
When Americans went to fight suicide bombers, you're fighting a guy who's ready to die.
We've made peace with it. Do you know why we've made peace with it? Because in the eyes of God, we know we are doing the right thing.
Wow, that's deep.
Yes, because you see, it reminds me of, there's a story in the Bible of King David. David was anointed by God.
Mm-hmm.
After Saul messed up. But you see, Saul was also anointed by God. So Saul fell out of God's favor and God decides to anoint David.
Yeah.
Lesson number one from that story is God can replace.
Mm.
The second lesson is a certain person who was insulting David and was telling him like the truth and amwambia maneno magumu. And someone in David's circle said, I can cut down this person. But David said, don't. You know why? Because this could be the voice of God.
Yeah.
Maybe Anani criticized because it's God who has directed him to criticize you. So he's not criticizing me because he wants a post or he wants to be paid. The same. Me, I keep stressing that I'm not interested in government money. I'm not interested in any government position. I'm comfortable doing my own business.
But for the greater good.
But for the greater good we have. And it's the same way why I still told people, don't go to State House.
Do you think there are people who are also equally in stature in the movement by way of influence who may have been compromised?
Yeah, people were compromised. We were cooking Osama this weekend because I believe he was compromised. And the reason I believe he was compromised is because they said on Twitter, and in fact, the people who attacked me. When people don't go to State House, these people really attacked me. like wewe sell out, they call me names, they bullied me.
I had to call out a friend of mine who was trying to insinuate that you are compromised. And the reason was not that because I'm your defender, but because this guy didn't even go to the street. Like it's
yes.
He's calling out
The
stuff
people
from his
the
bedroom.
people who are selling propaganda, even people who are saying alijimwagilia maji, it's because they were not in the streets to know. Tear gas water burns you. It's a chemical. It's a very bad chemical that actually stings you and burns you. So you have to keep on applying water to counter it. How would you know that when you go kwa streets? You wouldn't.
It's true.
You see, you'd never know. Utaona tu jamaa, but you don't know. You don't understand why every time there's a protest, kitu watu wanitishanga kwa protest ni maji. It's water.
I even saw guys scrambling for water that had been laid down. It wasn't for thirst.
It wasn't for thirst. Ni kujimwagilia. So that once you hit with that water, it counters.
So why do you think, in your opinion, apart from arrogance?
Yes.
Because at some point, I don't think it was just pure arrogance. I feel it was a level of denial.
Yes.
Where despite the protests,
yes,
despite the spaces that have happened,
yes,
by the time even the president went on that space, he was talking the same way. Like
it's because
there's a disconnect between.
There's always a disconnect between which should not be there. At times, leaders get disconnected from the reality, and this happens if you surround yourself with people who you think are popular, and who, because you see, look, when President Ruto got elected, circle yake ilikuwa kina nani? You know, it's the same MPs, kina Ishungwa, kina Ishungwa. Hao ndo wase wake wa ground. So if Ishungwa comes and tells the president, rais, watu wako nenda huko streets, ni vijana wadogo tu, hata ni wazazi, he's most likely going to believe. Because when he got elected in the first place, they're the same people who are advising him. And you see his advice has worked out. The advice has worked out once. The same position, me, I mean, even in my company, the people I'd actually listen because siyuko kwa ground. So not gonna say tuko kwa interview, but you see the companies are still running.
Yeah.
So if somebody from the company calls me and tells me niaje, kuna hii issue, but I think the problem is XXX, I'm more likely to listen to him. People also need to understand that the president is not just any other person. He's the president. Anafanya vitu mingi sana.
So for good, to be a good leader, how do you balance the two? Where
now balancing the two means you still have to maintain contact with the ground. Me, I don't even understand why this guy has like 50 cars. Who's going to kill you in Kenya? Like nani akona shida na wewe hivyo? Keep like 3 cars and interact na vijana, tokianga mahali randomly.
And are his children also that out of touch? Because leave alone the daughter who's always in public. Let's say the sons. A son, me, I have a father.
Yeah.
When my father is, sometimes when I feel his thought process is wrong, I'm at an age where respectfully I can be like,
I wouldn't talk much about his sons. I don't know them, but you know, it all depends how those kids operate. You know, in faith, they were meshakuwa a cool kid.
And not specifically. I'm not even talking about them specifically. I'm just saying as in the role of a son. You can't tell me the children don't know kwa ground.
But sa shida ni moja. Does the father listen? Those are the parents who don't listen.
Maybe they've tried.
Yes.
And it's like, you gotta make the president.
Sometimes I'll tell my mom, don't go this path, and she won't listen. Sometimes she'll listen. So be a parents.
So where the movement has reached, like I said, for the viewer, this is the day after cabinet has been sacked. First of all, when you saw the picture of the guys who've been sacked, it's almost ridiculous. Like, these are the guys who are in charge of all these ministries. The faces are laughable. I mean, it's almost...
Me, the guys I saw in that list, I never knew existed. And I'm not kidding. Like, kuna mtu mmoja anaitwa Jeremiah, hata sikumbuki anaitwa. I'm like, who's this minister?
But when you see some faces, the Moseses, the Murkomens, the Aishas, like, these guys were leading serious ministries that control so much in terms of our country and the future of our country.
Yes.
So now what next? Because is appointments, maybe the youth, maybe some technocrats, maybe some experts, does that shift the movement?
I believe all these protests have shown proper leaders. Look at Hanifa. Hanifa, through her activism online, these people raised 25 million or 30 million.
Man.
By the time Nakumincha was waking up from her hangovers, the bills had been cleared in most hospitals. They are compensating people who are injured, who are crippled, paying like $500,000, 400K. See, Gavai, this is just one person with like 30 mil on mchanga. Hata doingi kwa nini yake. Niaje, ulinini anenda na verify peke yake. That's a leader. Huu ni mtu by the way, like anafaa achukuliwe apewe ministry.
Now you see but one thing I'll fault the movement for at some point.
Yes.
Initially, yes, it was leaderless.
Yes.
Which was paramount to the existence.
Yeah.
But at some point, you need someone to be, or some people to represent the communication.
I've actually been saying that. Initially, they cooked me. No, they said, "Oh, you're propping yourself to be." I tell them, no, it's not about me. It's about the fact that Mimi, I cannot go to a protest, to be very honest. Do you know I went to the initial protest? Because we had an objective. We knew what we were going to do.
Can't go kiholela.
Si tumesema tunaenda parliament na tuna oppose finance bill. MPs are the enemies. Are you ready to die, Kairo? Yes, I'm ready to die. Will you go to the streets? Yes, I'll be there. Na mi siendi streets kupiga selfies. Uko Kimathi street like most celebrities. Mimi niko hapo mbele. If I get shot, I die. But mtasemanga nilikufa, he was trying to get a better country. Because nimeelewa what the objective is and it resonates with me. So, but now when it gets to a point where we don't have objective, where we don't have a direction, where we don't have, people don't want to listen and it's not becoming a marauding mob, now I can't go risk my life.
Because it's pointless.
Yes, because I'll die and it will be like that's why I told people don't go to State House. Because people would have died. You see, even after we still made the video, protest still happened. It's in Rongai. A kid got shot.
I saw that, yeah. It was unfortunate.
You see, but you see kama hiki kitu ingekuwa na, you know, now that particular, ama hii point tumefika. I was even telling guys juzi, have committees. You see the way lawyers organize well. Do you know why lawyers organize very well? Because they have a leader, Faith. Faith does a good job. Our Wakili does a good job. Because she's able to.
So how do they come up with a leader without?
It's very easy. It's very easy.
Factions.
Acha nikushow. It's very easy.
You're gonna come on to my page, you're not gonna hit the subscribe button. You think that's fair? We really don't like the kind around here, boy. Go on out and hit that subscribe button before I go and call Bob. Bob come out with his gun and show you how to hit that subscribe button. So do it before he comes out. Yeah.
Kama sahi mi nilikuwa nawapea suggestion nasema like let's say artists. Calligraph was on the forefront. Kama ni history ya Gen Z movement, Calligraph can represent artists na wanakuanga na space. Because you know spaces are good because everything is out there. You sit in the space, we discuss, we talk, da. Kama ni sisi watu wa biashara, let's find someone tusemeniaje mtu ana represent the face of business people. Tunakuwa na space yetu ya entrepreneur. Tunaongea, tunakuwa na ideas zetu. Madaktari, the same thing. Mawakili, the same thing. Marubani, the same thing. And then from these small committees, these are different interest groups. We can have one major national committee with no leader, but with leaders.
That makes yeah. That's
so get
very plausible.
So it's like a caucus. You know,
yes.
You know,
yes.
That comes a national top body that comes and is able to give straight communication.
And some of the best things ever invented by mankind were from caucuses.
Yes, it's always caucuses. Simple moja, we don't want a cult of personality. No. I'm talking about a caucus of leaders.
And do you think there's room for the old guard? The reason I ask this is we saw, and me, I've never drank their Kool-Aid, the likes of the Sifunas, the likes of the Babus, trying to align.
Let me tell you, bro.
And they looked like fish out of water. It was so clear that these guys and this movement are not one and the same.
Yes.
These guys are playing politics. They've always been playing politics.
These are people who have dirtified themselves by associating with the current regime. Babu missed a certain vote. He was absent. Yes.
And that's probably because
he was absent.
Some interests of his.
Yes. The guy was absent. Sifuna, I saw them cooking him juicy. I wouldn't talk much about. I don't know him. But the people were saying no conflict of interest bill. So you start digging through these politicians and you'll realize most of them at one point have been compromised.
Can I give an example?
Yes.
They really agitated about, they made noise about Sakaja.
Yes.
And the audit report.
Yes.
At some point it just went quiet.
Yes.
You ask yourself,
why?
Why did it go quiet?
Yes.
So people can join the dots.
Yes.
But is there room for any of the old guard, like let's say a Miguna?
No. Me, I think, from what I think this movement as it should, anybody who's been embroiled or entangled with the current breed of the Kenyan political class should stay clear. Let it be, we basically just want to see new faces.
I feel you on that.
Yes.
I mean, we've seen.
It should be
I'm
new.
34.
Yes.
And the breed of politicians are the same
Nah.
that I've seen since I was a child. Yeah.
Watch it too. Let other people go there, take the seats. Nini. Me, I'm happy as a businessman. When I see this all, because I know if the country works, we all make money. That's what I was telling guys, Jana. For some of us as business people, there's also the element of we need to make money. You cannot make money in a country. You know, the government is the biggest consumer in any economy. If government is getting is getting looted left, right, and center, hiyo pesa itafikia ja vijana wako chini. You get like if you today like started like a company on the side apart from your day job, and you like got a tender somewhere in DOD to deliver takama and bananas, and the government pays you even $1 million, you know. That money yoku flow, your doku flow. Ninafikanga mahali, now you guys come back to us. You know me, I tell guys most of my clientele is not the current political class. They don't buy.
And that emboldened. It's emboldened.
No, yeah, because Mimi, I've never done a government tender my entire life. I've never sold. I've sold vehicles to guys in government, but they're not my clientele.
They're not your core clientele.
That's my core clientele is actually Gen Z and millennials. If you look at our target in the adverts, we target between 20 to 35. Those are the people buy cars from us. All these GTIs, Golfars, most of them, na hata wenye wanunui na pesa yao, they influence their parents to come to us. So for me, it's very prudent that this current breed of young people needs to be empowered. If they don't have jobs, it means even us as business people, if this country collapses, you think you're going to be safe?
That will be terrible.
Bro, we're also in a lot of trouble.
Now, you've given us an idea of what you'd want from now to come out of this movement.
Yeah.
What do you think will come out briefly as we shift gears? Because I also want to touch on other things briefly.
I think basically what's going to happen is we are in the midst of a revolution, not just as the revolution for the streets, but even in terms of thinking. The next elections are going to be very different. The 2022 elections were different to a certain extent because for once,
Deep state.
They were kulikuwa na story ya deep state na the have-nots. And for once, tribal cards did not play out very prominently.
So there was that shift.
Though there was a very mild shift.
And also that thing for whether or not it's fake or not, deep state, the idea and them being beat by an underdog really resonated. The fact that
it was actually good for the country. And now we're just moving on to that conversation. And what's going to happen is two things. Either the current politicians are going to go dodo. It's going to be political Waterloo in 2027. Or Ruto might actually decide to adapt and just decide to run government better and actually win re-election. It can only be those two.
That's his actually only chance. You can actually just say, because you have enough wealth, just say, okay, this is real change.
Let me fix the country.
Let me be part of it.
Yes.
Any chance he pushes back in the dictator kind of...
How?
It's too late.
You tell me how.
It's too late.
No, you can't. Because for a dictatorship to be effective, you need to sell fear. So nuzia nani uoga.
Guys are not fearful anymore.
Nah, tuogopi. Me, I'm telling you, some of us we had made peace with the fact that we can die.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's not about at least you want to come and attack my business.
Were you guys ready to die? Yeah.
You understand? So you tell me today you're going to come. Okay, it's fine. You've ensured that I've lost everything, no problem. But remember, at the end of the day, you're not going to be there forever. And it's not just me. I'm not the leader. There's like 1 million, 3 million other people. Come, sawa, kuja ni kidnap. Watch them now go crazy at you. So you see, it's the proper...
And you can't kill everyone.
And here's the interesting bit. Even the policemen won't say it.
Yeah.
The cops won't say it. But I'll tell you for a fact. In the streets, the police are not pushing back as much.
Didn't we see yesterday a cop coming out to complain about the status quo? And, like, guys, you can't tell a Gen Z guy to live in a party.
Am I going to give you an AK, station you in parliament, and nikiwa na hiyo AK, would you take that AK and shoot 20 protesters?
Impossible.
Would you?
Impossible.
What will you do if these protesters start coming at you?
Yield.
Or fall back.
Yeah, yield.
That's what they did.
Just yield.
Yes.
Now,
and they know it.
Now, shifting gears.
Yeah.
I've felt the revolution in the air.
Yeah.
Thanks for your role, man. It was inspiring.
Exactly.
You know, it's rare to get inspired by someone younger, but this new generation is really doing that for me in many ways.
Yeah.
Now, shifting gears to a passion we both share.
Yes.
Because like I said earlier, I don't know if that was on camera or off camera, but post-movement or post this version of the movement, because we need to survive as human beings.
Of course,
you've gone back to business,
yes,
and you did your first. You brought your first aircraft.
Yeah.
I watched the Sky Trips. Quite an interesting thing. So how has that been so far? How has the venture into now the Jetman side?
No, Jetman is doing well. We are moving properly. Like, things are very good, in the sense that now the website is up and running. We've gotten a couple of deals. The other more bigger deals that we're pushing, which I can't disclose now for client confidentiality.
Of course.
But things are like proper.
Who are your clientele? Without being specific, like the niche.
It's crazy, but we like get inquiries from all sorts of people. Businessmen, foreign politicians, foreigners, like all sorts of people contacting us. Even governments.
So is there a gap? Because a lot of things are not. I'll give you a podcast. Many people don't do podcasts out of fear, out of the unknown.
Yes.
So is that industry one of those where people have just not ventured?
Yeah, there's a gap, because I think Jetman is the first aircraft listing website in the history of Kenya.
Kudos.
Hakuna ingine. Nobody in Kenya lists aircraft for sale in a website, proper nini, structures nini, office. The only company that sells aircraft in Kenya and sells to a lot of the operators is an American company based in Florida.
Or the ones who do
the guys that deliver the caravans. Yeah. So that's the only, I'd say, like the only competition. But you see, these are not our age mates. These are people who've been in the industry for like 40 years, 50 years. But you see, now we are trying to assert ourselves in the sense that, we also want a part of that market share.
Is brokerage a thing in your industry?
Brokerage, yeah. See, basically, it's not advisable to buy an aircraft without a broker. I'll tell you the reason why. Because there are so many things at play. A broker helps you.
So it's more white collar broker, not broker.
Because brokerage in Kenya gets a bad rep. But brokerage in the West, for instance, is something very different. It's an insurance brokerage firm. It's a stock brokerage firm.
It's expertise.
Yeah, it's actually expertise. We help you get, like in aircraft sales, we act as the referee. Or when we represented in the seller, we're acting as the advocate. When we're representing the bar, same thing, acting as the advocate. We're ensuring that, we're getting the plane is airworthy, nini, kaina snags. He's getting a good value for his money. We are foreseeing issues that come out, can come off. Regulatory.
So the learning curve is also quite.
Yes. You need to learn. You need to understand procedures. Like when we were delivering this aircraft from SA, land, it's always a learning process. You're interacting with the South African Civil Aviation Authority. I'm very conversant right now with South African custom export procedures, things that I didn't know.
And how was being a licensed pilot?
It helps.
It helps,
It really helps, especially from because you see when you see a plane on sale and you're able to interpret whatever specs that are being listed.
Yeah.
You're actually able to. I can now advise a client, not just as a seller, but as a person who understands the product. Like if somebody comes to me and tell me the difference between Piper and Cessna.
Yeah, it takes that aviation, big and data side to actually be able to. Yeah.
You're able to tell him, look, if we buy the Piper, get better speeds, maybe, sawa. Better, I feel like they handle better, in my opinion. But pia runways, kidogo, Cessna has an advantage. There are those.
What about parts? Just for the
there's also an element of parts, but you see, with Kenya, it's not very complicated. Kenya getting things from the US is quite easy, from eBay, from South Africa, from Europe. It's basically quite straightforward.
I sent you a video of some guys who do a vlog of moving planes around the world.
Yes,
They're especially post-COVID when airlines were taking back planes at least.
Yeah.
These guys found a niche where they do that work for them.
Yes.
They do the flight test.
Yeah.
So they have multiple ratings, Boeing, Airbus, all Boeing.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you watch their vlogs, that's some of the most fantastic flights.
Yeah, trust me.
And I think maybe even unbeknownst to you, you're already on that path.
Yes.
What you're doing is actually going in that direction.
Actually, do you know what my biggest regret is? I stayed in SA for a month. I had all the time in the world to validate my license to South African.
You could have done a conversion.
Yeah, I forgot. But now I decided, it's fine. Let me finish up on the CPL. Then I'll ensure that I have the FAA license, I have the South African license, and maybe another random country.
How far are you with your CPL?
Maybe YASA.
Almost
done.
Nice.
I think now I'm only waiting for my single IR night.
If you ever shipping a Q4, man, you need crew. Wow.
So it's fun. But actually, even the ferry was awesome. Like
the ferry was
because ferries are interesting because like it's international flying, but in a single engine. Like it's just crazy.
It actually is crazy.
Because remember there was a point, but you're flying and then I can hear KQ guys like,
Transmitting.
Yeah, transmitting, and it's like, oh, this is wild. So you're above Zimbabwe, it's at night. You can hear that KQ flight that teremkas to Johannesburg, Nini, and you're like, okay, this is interesting.
And at night in a single engine is also quite.
He's also wild. It's wild, trust me.
The guy you flew with is a CF.
He's actually a CFI. Yeah, but he's very young. I'm 27, him's like 25.
Is he from Durban?
He's from Durban, yeah.
Yeah.
You know him?
No, I don't know him specifically. I know, well, that's going to sound so racist, but when I was in SA, a lot of those colored guys are from Durban.
Yeah, a lot of Indians actually are from Durban.
Yeah.
Quite a number of them.
And some of them darker than
yes,
any normal black.
Tell guys like the India is very interesting. It's a very interesting place. Like there are Indians who have like the same skin tone. They come in a wide variety of skin tones, looks.
That's how they created the caste system. They were able to do from the fairest to the darkest.
Okay.
That's how they were able to.
Because in Lendoko, I was like, yeah. I feel like I'm in Africa. Like, yeah.
There's some darker.
Yes. So yeah, easy guy, nice chap. We really bonded, like, yeah. And probably if I ever do any ferry from SA, any other delivery, probably doing it with him. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Wonderful, man. Yeah. Khalif, man, it's been so awesome, man.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough for coming, especially in this climate. And it was fairly easy. I know you're a busy guy. You told me you have meetings after this.
Yeah.
I told you it's my passion. I love to do this. I'm on my rest day, but here we are.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the insights.
Yes.
What's your plan in the next couple of months? What's your plan? What's
no, for me, the plan has always been the same. Objective is very simple, just grow the businesses. Yeah. Serve God, most importantly.
You've had it, episode 5, Khalif Kairo. You've had it from here every other time with Eric. Subscribe, like, share. It's a wrap.